In 1959, in Russia, a group of young men decided to go on a ski trip, specifically to climb the Qar mountains. However, the trip turned into a mystery, one of the biggest mysteries in the world, and I am not exaggerating when I said it was one of the biggest mysteries in the world. The trip turned into a terrifying nightmare. Today, there is no solution to our mystery. Welcome in the story or mystery of the Dyatlov passage. I want you to focus. Be very careful with me, because this mystery could be solved by anyone. One of you, God willing, will be able to solve it. Come on, our story takes place in 1959 in Russia, with a young man named Igor Dyatlov. He was very skilled at skiing and mountaineering. He decided to gather 9 of his friends to be his 10th and go on a mountaineering trip. Specifically, it would be a leaf climbing trip. And he did. Igor had 9 friends, and he was his 10th. They were all very good at mountaineering. They set a day for the trip. It was agreed upon, and it happened on January 23rd, 1959. The team of 10, 8 boys and 2 girls, gathered and prepared themselves, their equipment, and the food they would need. They took everything with them before they set out. The expedition leader, Igor Dyatlov, called his college and informed them that the trip would last 15 days. After 15 days, he would send them a confirmation message to reassure them. He also informed them that the trip was complete. The 10 members set off on their way. They hadn't even started yet. One of their friends, who was with them named Yuri, withdrew and told them, "I can't come with you because I'm very tired and can't." "I can." Yuri actually had heart problems and withdrew from the beginning. He didn't even start the trip with them. So the 9-member team, 7 boys and 2 girls set off, sir. Things went well for them on the first day. They covered a good distance. The second day, the weather was very difficult for them because there was a strong storm. Of course, all the pictures that will appear before you now are their actual pictures of the trip. This is because one of their friends had a camera with him, documenting everything on the trip. As I told you, the second day was a bit difficult because of the storm and the poor visibility. That's why they deviated from the right path and went the wrong way. They climbed a second mountain called Mount Death. The trip leader, who was Igor, noticed if they were on the wrong path. He told them, "Stop, let's stay in our tents here today until this storm passes. The next day, we'll return to our path, which is the right path." They set up the tents, and that's when the terrifying events began. Remember when I told you in the first video that before they left, Igor called their college and told them that the trip would last for 15 days. After 15 days, he would send them a message to reassure them that the trip was over. So, 25 days passed, and there was no message or any news about him. For 25 whole days, there was nothing. At that time, the students' families became very worried and informed the authorities of what had happened. Indeed, no time passed. The world turned upside down. A very large rescue team arrived to search for him, including helicopters, rescue teams, and the world literally turned upside down. After about 6 days of searching, the rescuers were able to find the student's tent. When they entered, they found the tent somewhat torn apart from the inside. They found all the belongings of the 9 students and all their personal belongings. Literally everything that belonged to them was inside the tent. What wasn't inside the tent was the students. The students were not. The investigators noticed footprints outside the tent, so they began following and walking. They followed these footprints until they found themselves under the mountain in the forest. The footprints had disappeared. The investigators then began searching the forest because they were sure they would find something. Indeed, within a short time, the investigators found the bodies of 2 of the students. The investigators were surprised and shocked that the 2 bodies in front of them were in their underwear, not even wearing socks. Of course, this is a very strange thing for them to have come out like this in such an atmosphere. The investigators began searching for any evidence in the forest. Time passed. The police found 3 bodies, including the leader of the expedition, Igor. They were cold, and they were in their underwear and barefoot. They hadn't seen anything. They were scared and ran. They ran in their underwear, not wearing anything. Even the police, after examining the 5 bodies, noticed that they didn't have a single scratch on them. All 5 died due to hypothermia. That means they died from the cold, frozen to death. There are still surprises. Wait a minute, sir. How many bodies are there? 5 minus 4. The police actually started looking for them. 2 months later, they found all 4 corpses. The remaining 4 bodies were the ones who welcomed them. The whole world was literally the story of the 4 bodies. When they found them in the forest, but they were buried under the snow. They were found under 4 meters of snow. All of them had very violent injuries, and in a terrifying way. Part of them had a shattered skull. It was really shattered, as if someone had hit it with an iron rod. It was very heavy. What's surprising is that there were no signs of any external scratches, meaning the skull was shattered from the inside. There were no external signs of any corpse line. Among them was a girl named Ludmila Ligo. Her tongue was cut off, her eyes were removed, and a large part of her face was missing. Adding to all this is that all 4 bodies inside this hole, their rib cages and the bones inside, were broken. Forensic doctors described the fracture. They said it was likely that an elephant had entered and trampled on them. What's also strange is that there were no signs of external bruises. The outside of the body was intact and had no bruises, but inside it was completely broken. The only one who wasn't intact was Ludmila, as I described to you. She had. How was this situation so terrifying for the investigators? Because this literally wasn't a crime. Because there was no sign or evidence of someone doing this to them. So, what they were facing was a mystery. A big mystery, and very complex. So hypotheses began to emerge, to many. I'll tell you now the most famous hypothesis. The first hypothesis says that the Mansi tribe, which lived very close to the site of the incident, is responsible. They live in a place very close to the site of the incident and are considered the original inhabitants of the area. The hypothesis states that the students entered a sacred land for the tribe, and because of this, the tribe decided to take revenge and eliminate them in this horrible way. But let me tell you, this hypothesis is completely wrong. The Mansi tribe is known to be a very friendly tribe. They treat strangers kindly, and this has never been one of their characteristics. Let's assume, sir, that this tribe is not friendly at all. The site of the incident has no trace of a single person who entered it. Those who are present have traces of only 9 students. If this hypothesis is wrong, put it aside. The second hypothesis, which is the avalanche, states that the students, while they were in their tent, felt that in an avalanche, they were startled and ran out of the tent. They ran in their underwear out of fear to get back to the tent, but they got lost and died from the cold. However, this hypothesis is also wrong, because see, there is no sign of an avalanche. Even the ground and forest showed no signs of a collapse, which is proof that no avalanche had occurred. They didn't wear their boots, and when they tried to, the avalanche in this area, it was also an individual mistake. We attribute it to the jinn. The third hypothesis says that they were the Russian forces. They performed experiments on the students because the forensic doctors, while dissecting the bodies of the students, found a very large amount of radiation inside the 9 students. This was strange, but the Russian forces denied that they could do something like this at all and dismissed all accusations. This remains a mystery to this day. What, has anyone found a solution? I forgot to tell you. As for their friend who left them at the beginning of the trip, he died in 2013. If you have an explanation or solution, please write it for us in the comments. We're waiting.